Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lori Hendren. I am the Associate State Director for AARP Illinois, and I want to welcome you. Today, we're having a little fun. We're talking trick or truth talk about the graduated income tax. So, for all of you joining us, know that AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan member organization, and we have been working to promote the health and well being of Americans 50 plus for over 60 years. The coronavirus may have put large parts, and I can speak of our lives on hold, but I promise you there's one thing that's not going to change, and that is going to be the 2020 election that is right around the corner. Give you an idea, 230 million Americans will be eligible to vote, and in what many say is going to be the most important election in recent history. This live show is dedicated to learning more about the graduated income tax on the 2020 ballot, also known as the fair tax. We're going to break down the tricks and the truth about the graduated income tax. Before I go into a little bit further, I want to show you our commercial we have going in support of the graduated income tax.
If you're not a billionaire, why are you taxed like one? You didn't mismanage the state budget. Why should fixing it fall on you? The flat tax we have is hurting Illinois workers and families, and it's not fixing the budget. New tax money has got to come from somewhere, so why not from the people with the most? Vote yes on the graduated income tax to raise taxes on the top 3%, generate almost $3 billion a year, and protect your retirement income. That's the fair way to fix this.
So, as you know, Illinoisans will vote in November, not just for the president, not just for a member of Congress, but also on a new tax structure here in Illinois. For viewers who've seen our ad, as you just saw on TV, read some of our social media, we want to walk you through what Illinois has a current income tax, which is a flat structure, and how we're going to be wanting to shift to that graduated income tax and what that means. And we have some fantastic people with us today that are going to walk us through. So first, let me just give a very down and dirty description of what we have. Illinois, we are a flat tax rate, which means everyone, you, me, everyone on our panel, everyone probably not watching Illinois, pays the same tax rate no matter how much they earn. To change that structure to anything else, that requires that constitutional amendment that we see on the ballot. That ballot proposal before voters is to change the Illinois tax structure from that flat income tax rate to one that is graduated, which means the wealthier pay more. The change will require a 60% of those voting on the ballot to vote yes, or more than 50% of those voting in the election to vote yes on the amendment to move from that flat tax to a graduated tax. If neither one occur, the measure will be voted down and we will remain at our current flat tax rate. AARP is fighting for these common sense solutions that fix our budget crisis without shifting that tax burden to older adults and middle class families. We do believe strongly that changing to a graduated income tax structure is a step in the right direction to fix our budget mess. The plan protects older taxpayers by will not tax retirement income. Only the wealthiest, which is roughly 3%, will pay more. AARP is proud to support the graduated income tax, and we urge you to vote yes. Vote yes if you're going to be voting in person. Vote yes if you're going to still the opportunity to vote early on the graduated income tax. So if you're joining us today, hopefully you know how we do these. We are definitely, I'm watching your comments. My name is Lori Hinder from AARP, but I have a lineup of remarkable people and they want to go through your comments and your questions. So if you're joining us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, put in your comments, your questions, and we're definitely going to get to that. So first, joining us today is, I'm privileged to have talked about the graduated income tax, is our first special guest, which is David Lanier. David Lanier is not only an AARP member, but he has worked on behalf of AARP as a volunteer on issues passionate to all of us, nursing home issues, making sure the staffing is right, making sure people are protected, improve the quality of life, caregiving legislation, and recently working on the graduated income tax. Welcome, David.
Hi, Lori, Ryan, and Mary, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak on such an important issue, not only to the members of AARP, but also to the entire state of Illinois and its residents. For me, I really find that this measure is critical for several reasons. I support it because I think that what it does is it brings a very simple and necessary component to the table. It brings additional revenue. The state of Illinois is in a crisis right now. We're in a critical stage when it comes to money. We don't have enough. We can't pay our bills, and we need more money. I think that it's fair to say that the legislators are trying every way they can to look at things to bring in additional revenues. But right now we are in a deficit, and that deficit I think is somewhere about $225 billion. And you have to do something to go ahead and cut into that deficit. And one of the things you've got to do is, again, raise revenues, and that's what this does.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you for everything you've always done over the years with AARP. Since I've been here, you've been a true champion with us. So next, we're coming from Peoria, Illinois. We have the incomparable, the amazing Mary Patton. Mary has been with AARP for a very long time. She is well known through the hallways of the Illinois State Capitol. When someone knows AARP, they know Mary Patton. It is one and the same. She has been an advocate for the 50-plus population for as long as I know. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mary. Mary, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here today. I've been working for several months now on this issue, and some days I feel great, and it's looking better than I told you the other day. From people who've already voted or planning to vote, they've already told me that they're going to vote yes, so I'm really feeling much better. Now, I'll tell you why I'm voting yes. Actually, I've already voted, and so has my husband. First, for my children, my neighbors, my friends, those people who are substitute teachers. One of my children works at a junior college, the other one at a public utility. I have neighbors. There's one who's a surgical nurse, a policeman in a small town near here, the cafeteria lady, as they're known, at a local school, someone who works at a local steel plant, and maybe your local minister. I'm voting yes for all of those. It's not fair that they should have to pay the same tax flat rate as those people who make over $250,000 a year. And my second reason why I voted for this, it, as David says, will help fix the budget crisis. It doesn't solve all the problems, but it will help fix the budget crisis without hurting those people who make under $250,000. And as a senior who's retired, thank goodness we live in Illinois because our retirement income is not taxed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And I've been with AARP almost 6 years. I hope everyone sees the happiness in my voice and face to see Mary Patton with us on a live Facebook event. This is great. So next we're going to go to Ryan. Ryan Grenfelder leads one of our leaders on the graduate income tax. He is our advocacy manager, outreach and manager. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, and thank you for having me today. And I really want to give a big thanks to David and Mary for joining us too. And they brought up some very good points with regards to the graduated income tax. And I just want to start by sharing just something a little bit personal in the fact that not only am I here as an AARP representative, but I'm also here as an AARP or as an Illinois taxpayer too. I voted on this. I voted yes. And I did a lot of personal thinking about the reasons why I voted yes for it. And there's a number of reasons why not only the AARP supports it, but I support it personally too. We've been listening to AARP members and members of the public who have been calling us and emailing us and texting us, telling us your concerns, asking us why we support it. And I just want to run through those reasons, those things a little bit here. I've heard concerns about taxation of retirement income, for one. The opposition to this has been claiming that this does not, or that this, if it passes, will open the door to tax retirement income. That is a statement that is absolutely false. Any statement like that is false. I'm going to give you the facts on this. The fact is that if the graduated income tax passes, it will not open the door to taxing retirement income. And it's some concerns that have come in that I've read and that I've heard through phone calls are that, well, the language in the amendment does not state that specifically. It simply allows Illinois to move from a flat rate to a graduated rate, which is true. The reason that this protects retirement income is because the retirement income in Illinois is exempted in the Illinois Income Tax Act. That's totally separate, obviously, than the Constitution. It was exempted in 1983. Before that, retirement income was able to be taxed in Illinois, and it didn't take a constitutional amendment to be able to exempt it. But if this passes, the reason it protects retirement income is because the state of Illinois is going to be getting additional revenue it needs in order to fix Illinois' fiscal and budget crisis that you just heard David and Mary talking about. When the state of Illinois gets that additional revenue, there will be less pressure on lawmakers to find additional revenue streams to try to close Illinois' fiscal and budget crisis, which is something that absolutely has to happen. As you heard David say, the budget crisis is the budget deficit is $225 billion. And that's something that the state of Illinois has to address. So that this additional revenue comes in and there's less pressure on lawmakers to do it. Now, let me also make clear, too, that AARP Illinois never would have supported the graduated income tax amendment if this didn't protect retirement income. We have always been a heavy opponent to this. We have fought multiple efforts over the last 10 years by outside groups and some elected officials to try to add a tax on retirement income in Illinois. If this passes, we will continue fighting as hard as we possibly can to make sure that your retirement income does not have an added tax in the future. I just wanted to make that perfectly clear. That is a major reason that we support it. Another reason is, as Mary and David also said, is this protects older adults and lower and middle income folks who are not retired, because 97% of Illinoisans will see a tax cut if this passes. The only people that will see an increase are the wealthiest 3% in the state of Illinois, and that data comes straight from the Illinois Department of Revenue. So only people that earn $250,000 and above will see an increased rate in their taxes. That means that over 97% of you will see a tax cut moving forward. And the third reason, obviously, is that it does fix. It doesn't fix, but it's a step in the right direction to address Illinois' fiscal crisis. We understand that there is more work to be done if this passes. We understand that you're feeling a ton of tax pressure across the state of Illinois. Illinois property taxes are awful. They're the second worst in the nation. I know how much people are feeling it in their wallet all over the state of Illinois by paying these insanely high property taxes. And that's work that has to be done, and that's work that we're going to be involved in too. And the state of Illinois also has just a high tax burden in general. We're going to be pressing lawmakers to do all of that. This is, like I said, this is a step in the right direction, and they need to keep taking additional steps to both address Illinois' fiscal crisis while continuing to protect lower and middle income earners and retirees and older adults. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Ryan. So now we're going to go into some questions, and this one's going to go to Mary Pat. And you heard Ryan talk about being a step in the right direction, but I want to ask you, you're a retired individual, you live in central Illinois. Is it truth or is it a trick that voting yes for this graduated income tax is a step in the right direction for someone who is retired? Can you give me your thoughts on that, Mary?
Sure. It sure is a step in the right direction. It's a plan. We've thought this through, as Ryan has said, and by following this plan, it will increase revenue without shifting the burden to seniors and those that are retired. that are the middle class and those people making the least amount of money. They also, it's only going to raise the tax on people who make over $250,000. But as you go up, if you're in that millionaire and billionaire range, you're going to even pay more. So I think that that's a more fair way to be able to provide all the services that we need in the state of Illinois, whether it's schools or for nursing homes, or, well, you can name whatever one that you particularly are interested in.
Okay, thank you, Mary. So next we're going to go to Ryan. Ryan, question, does the graduated income tax give lawmakers just new power to increase taxes? Is this truth or a nasty trick? And I've been reading it. I've seen it in my mailbox. I've seen it on Facebook. Is that a trick or is that truth?
It's a nasty trick. The fact of the matter is that Illinois has always had the ability to increase your income taxes. They've done so. The Illinois General Assembly and the previous governors have already increased your income taxes. When we hit 2010, and the budget crisis still existed then, a full decade ago. It's been happening for multiple decades. The income tax amount was 3%. We all paid 3% income tax. And then Illinois temporarily raised it to 5%. And then they lowered it back down to 3.75. And then they made it permanent. They raised it back up to 4.95%, which means that since 2010, we all now already pay 67% higher rate on our income taxes than we did 10 years ago. They've always had that. It's a nasty trick, and they're trying to scare people into it. If the graduated income tax passes, it won't change anything with regards to that. But what it would do is it would give them the flexibility to be able to tax those who can pay their fair share, the wealthier. It would give them the flexibility to pay more while also keeping taxes low for people that make less than $250,000.
And there's no tricks. Those rates have been enumerated. People can look on the fair tax calculator to see where they are. So nothing's hidden behind the sheets on this one. It's right there. Okay, so all of you who are joining us, we want to thank you. My name is Lori Hendren from AARP, and you are joining us on the graduated income tax, little trick or truth talk with valued members of AARP, getting what people want, what they think, and we're addressing questions that we have heard. So Mary, we're going to go back to you, then we're going to write to David. Mary, is a trick or truth question for you. Is it true the wealthiest will pay more under the graduated income tax?
That is right. That is absolutely true. Only the richest. Can't say it any plainer than that. Those people who make less than $250,000 will either pay less than they have been, or they will pay the exact amount that they have. I think those rates were set in May, so anyone could find out what those rates are in that what you referenced earlier.
Sure. Great, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go to David. This is maybe a little bit longer question, but so from your experience, what could happen if the graduated income tax does not earn that 60% of support? What happens?
So, as we've talked about in the grander scheme of things, the state of Illinois is really in a bad fiscal position, and the crisis is really just getting worse and worse because of the budget, and because we haven't even talked about the pensions, so we won't even get into that. But what could happen is that this could actually force the state to cut some programs. If this graduated income tax is not passed, it's already been discussed that we might see 10% cuts across the board to all programs. And if that happens, what it's going to affect really, it's going to be everyone. There are many people that are in need of these services that are provided by the state of Illinois, and we just can't have that happen. So that's another reason why I think it's critical that we look at the bigger picture and that we got to have additional revenues. Illinois needs, some way to get out of this mess, this fiscal mess. And again, I'm not saying that this tax is the only answer. It's a step in that direction. And so we must do something like this. For example, one of the things that hopefully it can help address are some of those vendors who have not received money, haven't been paid. And so if there's additional revenue, maybe they can get paid and continue to go ahead and not only provide services, but maybe even keep jobs in Illinois. So now we've got people staying in Illinois. It also will provide hopefully some additional funds where we might be able to address our aging infrastructure. And then for me, and this is one of my passions, these funds are necessary because one of the things also happening is that Illinois does not have enough funding for education. And we need to have additional funds to address some of the achievement gaps with our children. Our children are our future, and we've got to do something. So in order to address those educational needs, we have to have additional revenue. So again, I'm sorry if my answer was a little long, but that's, again, one of the reasons why I think it's really important that we do this.
No, that was a great answer. I know it's a loaded one because there's so much that's out there. Thank you for being so succinct. So I'm going to go to Mary. Mary, Ryan has talked about this, but again, I want you to address this. Will the graduate income tax pave a way for tax and retirement income? We've heard it, we've read about it. There's a nasty trick. What is your thoughts? Can you clear it up for our listeners today?
Everything I have heard, we are not going to be getting the income tax, retirement income tax. The governor is not for it, and I know that my state legislators are not for it. So I really don't think that that is a possibility. And besides, there's so much else that needs to be done in order for that to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I feel very protected and very happy that Illinois does not tax the retirement income. I think that's about it.
Well, and I think viewers are probably seeing the faces of the folks that will be walking in the hallways or being virtual in case 20 years from now, we may be seeing that, but it will not be happening. So David, this one goes to you. Won't raising taxes on the wealthy stifle innovation or job creation? You talked about that a little bit about, the job creators and keeping jobs here with the graduated income tax. Let's talk about the other side. Won't raising the taxes stifle that innovation and that job creation?
Again, I don't see it as such, and research kind of has already pointed that out. One of the things that happens is that the tax, again, it's just a step in trying to repair our crisis. The state of Illinois really is striving to do something it hasn't done in multiple years, almost forever, which is to balance the budget. And in order to even achieve that, you've got to go ahead and deal with the issue. The legislators are trying to make steps in that direction, but again, you need something like this to have that so that you could, again, have the potential to stimulate economic growth. And so it won't stifle it. It actually will provide a platform where we actually may be able to go ahead and increase our bond rating, which again will bring about a greater economy and a greater reason to want to go ahead and invest in Illinois. So again, to summarize it for me, when we're only talking about putting a taxation on those that have more and are actually paying something that I don't think is fair, I think it's something we have to talk about. And that's, again, why I'm supporting this measure.
Thank you. So Ryan, trick or treat, is it true the graduated income tax amendment will not tax Social Security, other retirement income, pensions, 401ks, and IRAs?
That's true. It does not. If you see any taxation on retirement income, it will only happen at the federal level. But in Illinois, you currently pay 0% income tax on your retirement. If this passes, you will continue to pay 0% on your retirement income. And as Mary said, most politicians oppose this. The governor has opposed it. He ran on that. In fact, both candidates who ran in the last gubernatorial race opposed it. And I've seen a tremendous bipartisan opposition in the Illinois General Assembly as well, because they understand that over 80% of people over 50 fully oppose taxing retirement income, and over 70% of people over age 25 oppose adding a tax on retirement income. There is no motivation to do it in Illinois, and as I said earlier, we will fight any effort in the future for that if somebody pushes for that to happen.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go to Mary and David. So I want viewers to know David is from the Chicagoland area, Mary is from the Peoria area. So we have individuals from two different parts of the state, and we're going to just discuss this. It's just really interesting for me. Can you discuss why someone who is 50 plus from Illinois, let's say from your region, right, would vote yes for this graduated income tax on Tuesday? And then also why this taxing structure, why changing this is important for viewers, and I would also say for your community. So I see David, he looks ready to go. Why don't you go first? I'm going to answer that 13-prong question.
Well, a lot of the points that we've already discussed have already been presented regarding 50 plus. It won't be a taxation on retirement income, but if you are 50 plus, what you do want to see happen is you want to see the state start to become more fiscally responsible, and again, bring about the possibility of showing economic growth. By doing so, we all win. If you start to see people leave your community, then you're looking at possible property taxes or property value going down. If you see jobs coming into your community, now you're going to start to see your property value go up. So there's a direct correlation between just stimulating your economy. So if you're 50 plus, you do want to see those type of things because you're operating on a fixed income. So you want to try to get as much value as you can. So that's how I would start to answer that question.
Okay. So Mary, I'm going to give you this prompt again from someone who lives in, you're going to go central Illinois and downstate. I want you to explain why someone who is 50 plus, who lives in central Illinois downstate, would want to support the graduated income tax. Take it away, Mary.
Well, for everything that David said, if people remember all the things he said, because he always has such a good answer. Again, the retirement income is not taxed. I know that's not in the amendment, but we make sure that everyone knows that. So that will appeal to people who are already retired. Those that are going to be retiring have to plan for that, just like the state of Illinois is having to plan for taking care of this problem. Those people that are 45 to 65 are going to have to plan for their retirement. And there are two ways. One, they know that after they retire, their income won't be taxed. And number two, they will be keeping more money in their pockets to plan for the future. Also, many people work for, say, construction companies. They're doing a road construction down at the bottom of my hill. That company hires local workers, and that company has to be paid. So, you could go on and on. One thing leads to another. And if people could just broaden their thoughts, I think they for themselves can see how this would help the community.
I think that's powerful. Thank you. And we're coming near the end of our 30 minutes together, but I want individuals who are viewers or listening, or if you're going to be having conversations with folks, fair tax, graduated income tax, progressive tax, you're seeing those signs. So those ads, they're all the same thing. So when you look at your ballot, look left and we'll be there. Ryan, real quick, can you tell viewers if they're going to be voting on election day one, everyone just be safe, be healthy, keep your distance. But where is this going to be on the ballot, Ryan?
It's going to be the very first thing you see on the ballot. It's at the, and I already voted, so I saw it. It's at the very top, and it's just on the left. And there's a description of exactly what it is, and it explains in detail what the amendment will do if you vote in favor of it. And then it simply asks, do yes or no on the constitutional amendment, is what it is. So very simple. And I do encourage all of you to vote yes.
So if you can still hear me, there we go. I want to thank Mary. I want to thank Ryan. I want to thank David Lanier for their time. This initiative. Here we go. Sorry about that. We're in 2020. If the screens don't go out, it's not 2020 on my end, guys. So, so for more information regarding the graduated income tax, you can look to the website we have below, which is aarp.org/il. From the, you can also reach us at this phone number right here, 1-888-687-2277. And also, we've talked about this. Ryan spoke about it, and I think Mary, even David did. This is a fair tax calculator. You could go look there. You could be able to check to see where you're going to be at. If you're over 250,000, you probably have a good idea at this point. See if you're going to be part of that 97% of the population that's going to be seeing a slight tax decrease. But, you know, we really hope that you have enjoyed this conversation. I know I've been able to be on many of these in the past month, and every time I learn more. And I always take it away that if you have retirement income, the graduated income tax is not going to tax it. It's just not. So that is a trick. It is not truthful. So no, going in, we as AARP Illinois, we support a yes vote for the graduated income tax. And AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan member organization that has been working for over 60 years just to improve the health and the well-being of all Americans, and especially you, our viewers here in Illinois. So this live conversation has come to an end. We thank you. Again, David Lanier, thank you. Mary Patton, thank you. Ryan Grunfelder, thank you. Please all be healthy and safe and enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.